Welcome to the Fish House Nation podcast. It is June, almost June. It's May, but we still want to talk some ice fishing. And today we're joined by Erik Osberg. He's the Rural Rebound Initiative Coordinator for Otter Tail County. And we're going to talk some Otter Tail County ice fishing. Erik, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having me.
Give us just a little overview of like where Otter Tail County is for people who don't know and kind of what it's all about.
Well, we like to say that Otter Tail County is in the middle of everywhere. We are 2.5, 3 hours northwest of Minneapolis, St. Paul, 45 minutes north of Alexandria. It's a big county, so 45 minutes north of Alexandria, the northwestern corner of the county is 45 minutes east of Fargo. So we're west central Minnesota is the way that we describe it. But interesting fact, it's only 6 hours from Omaha, Nebraska. So we get a lot of folks that come up here from the Nebraska area. So as I said, we like to say it's in the middle of everywhere.
So you got people coming up there from the cities. You got people coming from Nebraska, from all over the place. Why are they coming there? What can they find in Otter Tail County?
Well, the number one reason I think people come here is we have 1,048 lakes. And to put that into perspective, if you visited a new lake once a week, it would take you 20 years to visit them all. As much fishing as I do with me and mine, we've still got over 1,000 lakes to go, right? Like we've been fishing hard for the last few years, and we try to keep track, and we've maybe fished 35 of them. So there's still 1,013 left. Now you can't fish them all. Some of them are small and some of them don't have public accesses. But there's hundreds and hundreds of lakes that have public accesses. So that's what most folks are coming up here for.
And what is the fishing like up there? People are coming there, obviously. What I found when I was there this year is it felt a lot like being almost in pothole country. Like when I used to go duck hunting in North Dakota, it felt a lot like that. There were places that looked a lot like that. But what's it like up there fishing?
Well, it's diverse. And so even just the terrain within the county, the southwestern part of the county is more farmland, more flat, and so you will have what you're describing, those pothole type lakes. They've got exposed trees in them. But then as you go further north and west, the terrain changes and it gets hilly, and you've got almost that classic up north feel where you're on a lake and it's surrounded by trees and there's not many people out there. But so the fishing is, again, I'll use the word diverse. A lot of, walleyes are pretty popular around here. So a lot of folks are chasing walleyes, and Otter Tail Lake is arguably the most popular. It's the biggest. It's 14,000 acres, and it has a very healthy walleye population. It has a lot of smaller walleyes. You're not going to get those 28, 29, 30-inch giants that you might get on a classic Canadian trip, but you can put fish in the frying pan, and so there's a lot of good eaters, a lot of quantity. It's more of a quantity than a quality lake, Otter Tail is, and that's right kind of in the middle of the county. But we like to call this place Panfish Paradise, because if you're into bluegills or you're into crappies, to your point, there's a lot of little lakes, and most of those 1,000 lakes that I mentioned, most of them are naturally bass panfish lakes. And so it's not uncommon to be able to go to a lake and catch a bunch of bluegills or catch a bunch of crappies. Very few people are targeting bass in the winter, but those are a fun little happy accident when you do hook into one. A 4 or 5 pound bass is pretty fun. So a lot of walleye fishing, but don't sleep on the panfish, because I would argue that it's world class.
Yeah, I was up there in February fishing with you guys, and we were fishing in the middle of a cold front. And, between our group, I think we caught 4 or 5 crappie in that 14, 15-inch size structure. And just, it's hard to do that. We actually had a friend that come up and fish with us for one day when we were up there, and he had just come from Lake of the Woods. He was there the weekend before, and he said, the crappies you guys are catching are bigger than the walleyes we were catching in Lake of the Woods. So he's like, I don't know why I need to go up there again.
Well, and that's, you're right. I mean, if you're looking, whether you're looking for a good fight or you're looking for a good meal, those giant crappies they're special. I mean, you start approaching 15 inches. I had a group of people up. It was a media group, and it was a group of gals, Women on Ice, or I can't remember the exact name of it. But anyways, one of the gals was standing there holding a huge crappie, and she's like, I thought I had to go to Canada to do this. And I'm like, nope, you just got to come to Otter Tail County. The hard part is finding them, right? Like with 1,048 lakes, where do you start? That can be the challenge. But once you put your time and effort into it, and the patterns kind of reveal themselves, it can be some pretty good fishing.
Yeah, I don't want to get you to give up any of your best spots or anything like that. But what are kind of some of the destination lakes? You talked a little bit about Otter Tail Lake. What are some of the kind of the destination lakes in Otter Tail County that people would go to get started fishing up there?
Rush Lake is a really good lake, and it's right next to Otter Tail. And that's again, it is a big county, but once you get into the middle of it, it's lake after lake after lake. So Rush Lake is not far from Otter Tail Lake. It's a pretty big lake, and it's a great early ice lake. There's a bay on the east end that it's kind of like I call it a mini Red Lake. It's a big shallow bay. And so it freezes first. The main lake will have open water, and this bay will have 6 inches of good solid ice in a typical year. So Rush Lake is a good lake to start. And it's got a great population of bluegills. It's got a great population of crappies. It's got walleyes and bass and pike and all that too. Big Pine is another lake that's fairly large. And when I don't know the exact acreage, but maybe it's 2,000 to 4,000 acres. Big Pine has a great bluegill population, a great crappie population. There is a slot on Big Pine, so there's some big walleyes in there, but those I believe it's 18 to 26 has to go back. And then up in the northwest part of the county, you've got Lake Lida, you've got Pelican, so between, and here's a couple more. See, this is the problem, right? Like once you start going down the list, it's like, oh, and then there's this. But between Otter Tail, Star, and Dead, those 3 lakes, you've got about 25,000 acres of water that you can fish, and they're all a little bit different. So again, to kind of run over the list again, you've got Otter Tail for your walleyes, you've got Rush, Big Pine, you've got Star, you've got Lida, you've got Dead. Those are, that's a handful of lakes that could present enough challenges. If anybody, pick one and say, all right, we're going to figure this one out. And hopefully in not too long a time, you do.
So that's kind of your game plan for people coming up there is pick a lake, go and target it, and try to figure it out from there.
Yeah, and the other, I don't want to sound like a salesman, but the other thing you can do is hire a guide. There's a lot of guides. That's what they do for a living, is they stay on the bite. And so if you have a trip planned, you don't necessarily have to hire them for the whole trip, but day one. You hook up with a Randon Olson of Lockjaw Guide Service, or a Ross Hagemeister of Meister's Guide Service, just to name a couple. Garrett Sphere of Slab Seeker Fishing. Garrett's a bluegill expert. He really tries to hone in. So you hire one of those guides for day one or day two, and then it should increase your odds of success days 3, 4, and 5 if you're coming up for a while. Plus, they might have fish houses to rent. So you can stay on the ice and do all that stuff.
Yeah, we stayed with Randon in one of his fish houses and spent a couple evenings with him, had a great time, and he really put us on some fish. It was too fun. I mean, it was one of those things. It was like, this is crazy. So it was a good time. Tell us a little bit about, you kind of talked about early ice and where to go. How does your fishing progress up there? I mean, what does it look like as far as when when you typically start to get ice, and when is ice out occur?
Well, again, and let me stress this: safety first, safety first, safety first. I don't ever want to be the guy who, was that guy. Um, but we've been on the ice again, depending on the lake, depending on the situation. The last few years, we've been ice fishing before Thanksgiving or right around Thanksgiving. So that mid-November, now this is walkable ice, right? Like this is buddy system, ice picks, ropes, life jackets, the full light mode. You're walking out, you're testing ice, but that usually happens around Thanksgiving, give or take a week. Hopefully by the middle of December or late December, you're able to get your bigger fish houses out there. And then January, February, you should be, again, weather depending, you should be in full go mode. Obviously, it's always a safety first deal where you still got to pay attention to what you're doing and conditions, because ice changes, conditions change. I think we stepped on the ice last year. November 17th was the first day, and we stepped off of the ice April 17th. So, November, December, December to January, January to February, February to March, that's half the year.
It's a long season.
That's a long season, right? Like if you're going to live up here, you better like ice fishing, because that's half of the season is ice fishing. And so, again, with the right safety precautions, you can be ice fishing 6 months out of the year.
Tell me a little bit about the resorts, amenities up there. What are people going to find as far as places to stay if they want to hotel it, places to go out and get something to eat?
We've got a ton. Otter Tail County is a tourist-driven county in the summertime, right? Like our population, I don't know the official numbers, but we like to say our population doubles or triples during the summer. So not every resort is open all year round. Not every restaurant is open all year round, but there are plenty. If you want that classic up north resort feel, we've got a ton of those. East Silent Resort is a great resort. Holly's Resort is a great resort. There's Shady Grove is a resort on Rush. They shut down their lakeside cabins, but they've got condos for rent. And then you've got your Thumper Ponds of the world. Thumper Pond Resort is a huge facility. They got an indoor water park. They've got a golf course. Not that you'd golf in the winter, but so there's a variety of places that you can stay. Restaurant wise, we've got some great local eateries. We got some great local breweries. We've got 5 or 6 breweries now here in Otter Tail County. So there's lots of things to do. If you're not in full fishing mode all the time, if you want to go get a beer or go get a burger, there's lots of cool, quaint local places with homemade meals and homemade brews that can fulfill your appetite and wet your whistle.
Erik, is there anything that I didn't ask you about that you wanted to bring up today?
Well, I guess the only thing that I would mention is Otter Tail County is a great place to visit. It's a great place to visit 12 months out of the year. But it's also a really good place to live. It's also a really good place to work. And if there's anybody out there who, I don't know, I don't know where they might live, but if they're looking for a slower pace of life, a little bit more safety and security, that small town village vibe, community vibe, and they're not getting it where they're at, we got jobs. I mean, there's manufacturing jobs. You can work at Lund Boats. You can work at, Vector Windows. There's a ton of places that are hiring. And if you're not into manufacturing, doctors, lawyers, I mean, you name it, bankers, there's a lot of open jobs up here. And my job is to recruit new residents. So if anybody wants to learn more about visiting up here or living up here, all they got to do is reach out to me, and I'd be happy to let them know what I know.
Yeah, where can people find out more about you and what you're doing and about Otter Tail County?
My cell phone, I'll give you my personal cell phone number, because my work one, I have two cell phones. I have a county one and I have a personal one. My personal cell phone is 218-639-3130. You can text me, you can call me. We have a website called OtterTailLakesCountry.com. That's OtterTailLakesCountry.com. You can find me on Twitter at Osberg Erik with a K. You can find me on Facebook. We're if you're on social media, you can either look for Erik Osberg, you can look for the Outdoor Report, or you can look for Otter Tail Lakes Country Association and connect with us. And that's, again, that's my job is to help people to have a better experience in Otter Tail County. I mean, it's not uncommon for someone to send me a Facebook message or a text and say, all right, where should I go get a burger? That's my job, is to tell you where I would. So I'm happy to correspond with people.
And I can highly recommend the Outdoor Report on Facebook. Erik's always got really good fishing reports on there, and they do a lot of tips videos as well, with some of the guides that he was talking about are on there talking about just things to take care of your gear and how to get things set up. And they also talk about the lakes as well. But a lot of the information that you guys are putting out there is stuff that would be good for anybody, anywhere.
Well, and I love what you guys are doing with the Fish House Nation. I've known Trevor for a long time, and I love the brand. I love the podcasts. I love what you're doing with the whole Fish House Nation vibe. I love your products. Keep up the good work on your end as well. There's a lot of good things coming out of Catch Cover, and we're always happy to partner in any way we can.
I appreciate it, Erik. Thanks for the kudos. Thanks for coming on the show, and take care. And we will, if I don't see you this summer, definitely see you in the winter.
Well, right around Thanksgiving, give me a jingle, and I'll let you know if we got good ice.
Sounds good. Thank you, Erik.
See ya. Thank you.